I like getting knowledge, so I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I absorb what I can, and I know I don't get it all the first time anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, that's why I want. Yeah, that's why I wanted to do it. One, I wanted to do it ongoing so people can come back and I don't know. It's like when I read stuff and then like I go back and read it again at a different part of time in my life, it has like all new relevance to me. So, all right, we're recording. Oh yeah, we got the weenie walking around upstairs. Click, 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 click.
Boy, that last little teeny bit that we did on my on our shoulders on Sunday, whatever. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a workout fan person, but that did a lot of releasing some stuff. So I know this work has power to it, and I take it with respect, little bits at a time.
Okay, yeah. It's I need to do it right now, actually. Sarah stretched me last night, and it took away the throb I had all through here because I've been just going. This is the first like 2 weeks back to full time. Like it was nice taking that time off and everything. And it's really changed my perspective on how I'll do my schedule from here on out. But it's coming back and stuff. I just feel it like I feel it all through here because I forget. Like this morning, I'm like, golly, it feels like it's all just bound up here, and I'm short of breath and. It affects my sleep and stuff like that. And then I realized like how tight my abdomen was when I leaned forward today. And I'm like, yeah, that's sucking down all through my diaphragm and everything because I like talk to people and I'll hold a plank for like 15 minutes with one hand. And it's nothing, no big deal to me because I've done it for so long, but I forget the amount of, let me get him in.
I took your spot. You gotta pin our video. No. You gotta go to the video and pin video. There you go. You ready? Butt shot.
Sorry. Should we get started?
Yep.
All right, let me sniffing and huffing in here. All right, we're gonna get started. So welcome everyone to we could call it episode 3 of the Muscle Whisperer Josh course school, whichever you'd like to call it. We're trying to get all this, got the bugs worked out. We got better lighting. I could have just put better batteries in it last time and it would have been bright like this. But lesson learned, we've gone through a couple things and now, I mean, it's helping me in my work and just I think about things through the day and how we can do these. And Sarah thinks about things we can add to them. So today we're going to go over everything that has to do with the rib cage, everything that has to do with dropping it down, opening the diaphragm, bringing the chest up, and then everything that has to do with the low back. I want to see if so I'll just move this over here because I shot the before and afters before just because I'm trying to save time and it's easier for me to just show you guys. Made the microphone full. Still hear me good? Oh, that's gonna be bright. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll just we can go. Does it go there? No, it's not gonna focus. Wait, hold on. So much for the, yeah, it won't pick it up. If this camera won't pick it up, then it's not gonna pick it up, so. You guys will be able to see it when we go down. When we have Sarah down here, you'll be able to see the as you can see when I post the pictures online on my Instagram, they when I do them face down, you can see a big difference with it. So with this, you'll be able to see the whole abdomen, lower back, obliques. You'll see it cut in. And Sarah, you know, we didn't really do any preparation for this. We didn't want to do anything to where it would be like a distortion of what the truth is. We just left Sarah's abdomen exactly the way it is, just like I will with every single person that we use as a model. So, and I like when it looks, you know, even what somebody doesn't think is their best. You want to get that? So that way we can see a drastic difference, because that's the average, that's the norm for people. You know, the average person is going to have times, like, especially in this time when we're at our house, I talk to every single client. Some of them are like doing amazing. And some of them are doing where they feel they've gained weight and things during this quarantine time. So you want to go now? Sarah can do, she put a little PowerPoint together so we can actually see. Hi, Mama. Oh, I like how those are up there. So the trunk, torso, midsection. And the purpose of the midsection, I mean, the abdomen, we call it, you know, the core. There's no such thing as core in anatomy. It drives anatomy people crazy when you hear that terminology, because core puts focus on our abdomen. And if you put focus on the abdomen, like I did in the early days when me and Sarah were just junkies I was using 4 medicine balls to crawl across the floor and just anything I could do to challenge my core, you know. And what happens is you'll notice it'll destroy your pelvic tilt, and it'll destroy the position of your shoulders, because your traps get fried. You know, you do side planks and things like that, it will absolutely destroy your traps and your neck and everything in turn, and it throws your pelvis off big time, because you're cinching down on our natural, the transverse abdominis that balances our six-pack. Six-pack would be the rectus abdominis. The transverse is an actual core set, just like a waist trainer. It's why we should never wear a waist trainer. We have one built to go around all of our organs. But the true, ask any woman who's had a kid, the true center of our body is where the head of the baby sits, down through the pelvic floor. It has nothing to do with here. And when you focus here, it throws all of the things off, because the true halfway point is right here. So in the trunk, it helps with rotation, adduction. So if you can't remember adduction or abduction, adduction, think add to the body. So like just think of bringing it to the middle. Adductors would be the inner muscles of the legs. You can get even adduction muscles of, you know, through pecs and things like that. Extension of the arms, different things with the abdomen supports everything to do with it. So opening all of this up will help, as I was showing in last week, how if you can't raise your arm, then you know you have a lot of tension running through the serratus, lat, abdominal muscles, including the obliques, inner and outer. Then anterior and posterior tilt of the pelvis. So anterior, ghetto booty. Posterior is like, we typically see it in elderly people or people who are injured, who walk very shallow. So no gait, the body tucks the pelvis up under us. You see people like this at the store in front of you, that's a posterior tilt. Anterior tilt, easy way to know if somebody has a butt, they almost never have a posterior tilt. What's that? Yeah, so I mean, you have, with an anterior pelvic tilt, you get your muscles stuck. The TFL muscles and your hip flexors right here, they get shortened, so they get brought together and they pinch down. And then when you stand up, so you see the people who go like so and they stand up, it's because these hip flexors right here, they won't open. And then in turn, it causes the lower back muscles and the extensors to shift and our butt goes out. Same thing if you're like me. When I was a personal trainer, I would stand for a long period of time. So my hamstring muscles would get weak, cause the anterior pelvic tilt to shift. The elevation of the pelvis, just everything to do with stabilizing the pelvis is the abdomen, but as much as our hip and our glutes are too. So that whole region right through here is all about stability. And when you understand the lower back in this region is the joint above the hips. And so those joints talk to each other. And then there's the low back and then the mid back. So your hips create power, they mobilize. The next joint is always a stability joint. So the lower back takes what power the hips produce or any kind of rotational movement or anything from the mid back, and it transfers it properly and efficiently through the body. This is why if you have a pelvic tilt, you are going to start getting major lower back issues because the hips will start seizing up. Protraction, upward rotation, elevation, depression of the shoulders. I mean, every single movement that has to do with, depression being going down, elevation, anything that goes, as they would say, proximal or distal, like farther away from it or close to it, all those fancy science words. But basically all it's saying is anything to do with doing this, rotational movements, it's all dictated by our position of our rib cage. And that's where we're going to go. I don't see anybody in therapy that really focuses on it. I see them talk about it and act like it's indirectly affecting it, but I don't see anybody who's like, yeah, we're going to grab the rib cage and pull it into a stretch and we're going to release all the muscles that are attached to it. Extension, lateral flexion, and rotation of the trunk and neck. So if you're looking at it, I mean, anything with extension or flexion, rotation, any dip motions, all of that is affected by, the state of our rib cage, the state of our abdomen, and everything below that, which is going to be next week, is going to be affected by it too. Ooh, got it. So plays a role in the movement of both the upper and the lower body, the interweb of muscles in all different directions connecting to both upper and lower parts of the body. So it's the true halfway point when you get into it is all the pelvic floor and, the rib cage would be the next structural piece that's really attached to it. So next one. So you can see there's this, layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. So that's why getting everything to do it, good luck trying to get your fingers in there and find all those. You won't be able to get to them. So that's why in structural therapy, you have to manipulate things by using the bones, but you're not cracking the bones like a chiropractor or anything. You're just using pressure throughout those regions to indirectly apply pressure to the other muscles that are, conjoined to it and things like that. So next one. Some more pictures of it here where you can see everything's just layered up. So you can see if those muscles right through there in the back, they get constricted on the spine, it's going to cause your rib cage in the front to open up like that. And I'm going to show you how to open the back muscles, open the rib cage, push that around, and then drop the abdomen in, and then cause the front rib cage to go from open like this to close. And that's going to give you a much nicer, consistent look to your waist, smaller, tighter. Go ahead. All the superficial lines, that's my favorite thing in the world. If you know me on my years on Instagram and stuff like that, I rave about these. Therapists don't even know what these are a lot of the times. The ones who do, they typically do great work because they understand that it's not just saying it's all connected, it's understanding those lines. And then in turn, you stop looking at muscles. When you stop looking at muscles, you find a lot of energetic areas on the body where you'll press into them and it doesn't even feel like it's physical. It feels like it's just a bound up ball of neurological energy. So, and that's through the fascia, because the fascia is a load distribution network. meaning it takes pressure in one area and spreads it out so we don't get crushed or explode. And it's also a pump for water. So if you're not moving, then these fascial lines right there are not hydrating you. And if you're not hydrating an area fascially or muscularly, structurally, or anything, then you are not getting blood into that area. It's a fact. Blood is water, 98%. So next. So here's, I mean, you see this all day. So it looks like one of my before and afters and throughout the first 4, and then the last one is like, boom, and that's what you'll see, even the ones that I posted today and everything. So sway back, getting pushed through. That's like posterior tilt going almost with it, but that has a lot to do with the knees and everything. Lumbar lordosis, thoracic kyphosis, and forward head, those really, they almost go all together today. So you see the lumbar lordosis, you see constantly on so many people. Maybe not that exaggerated, but then the upper roundness of the back, like that dude has no tech neck on the second one. That's impossible nowadays. I mean, if you have a phone, you have tech neck. So you definitely have to take the next 2, thoracic kyphosis and forward head, and add those to that second one. And that you take the round back of the thoracic kyphosis, which is what kyphosis is, getting that roundness there. So take that roundness, mix it into the second one, and put his head forward. That's truly what everybody is. I mean, the second, third, and fourth picture mixed is what we see today in society. So that's what we're going to analyze and go through again. Go ahead. That's it. All righty. Let's do a postural analysis. What do you say? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They didn't get to see the before and after, so. I wonder if I could take this. Wish there was a quick way to disconnect this mic. Maybe there is, but I'm not going to do it.
Don't mind my white stomach.
Go ahead. Okay. So turn sideways, babe. They're not going to be able to see that. The camera's too white.
Oh.
Straight sideways, babe. You got to look at the camera. Oh, yeah. There. All right. So the big thing is you can automatically see the low back. You've got that lordosis, that sway back. You got the quote unquote pooch that everybody talks about, where the lower abdomen sticks out because the lower back and pelvis is pushing it forward. And then you can see how with her arms up, the rib cage up under her chest is protruding. So it's causing that protruding up at the top, and then the pelvis shifted, like this. You can see her waistline, How do I get my hand like that? There you go. So you see that shift. Basically just look at her belt line, and that's the pelvic line. And that's pushing her abdomen out at the lower part. And then the part at the top under the chest that's pushing out is causing that peak. If you look in the middle of her abdomen, you can see that part that's sticking out the most. And that's because the top is pushing and the bottom is pushing too. So once we drop that in, you'll notice that's when, like in my before and after, is how I make their abdomen much flatter. We're basically going to take everything in the front and shove it straight backwards as if it's pushing against the wall of the back. Exactly. So everybody's like, oh, just stand up tall, just pull your shoulders back. Like, yeah, you can't do that because you have adhesions that the body put in there intentionally to try and prevent you from hurting yourself. So you have to remove those adhesions and then create the ability to move. And then once you have the freedom to move, you can truly heal yourself. So, all right. I think we just need to get you on here and set the camera up. I'm going to mute this so I don't kill your ears with the Theragun, but I'm going to show you just a basic way to do what I would do for somebody just to warm it up, because the abdomen is quite tender. So just shocking a brand new client with a Theragun to the belly is maybe not your first option. You got us muted. right, so make sure I can't see if I can see it. All right, so when I'm doing this, most of what I do, I don't like to go straight on. So if you're using the Theragun, make sure, again, don't squeeze it really hard. Keep it kind of loose to where you can throw it around in your hand. Make sure you focus on the exact spot that the gun is touching. Don't just aimlessly throw it around. You got to think about exact tip, wherever it's touching. So, and you want to do it like a rhythm like a spray paint can, where you're going back and forth, and you have to think about not only this way, but you have to think about that way too. So you want it to be a smooth, consistent roll, and you want to turn it a little bit on its side, because remember, you're not trying to break through the tissue. You're trying to push everything into a stretch so that you stimulate the nervous system to create enough response in that sensory so it releases the muscle. We're trying to overstimulate it and fake it out and think that it's just too much on it, even though it's not. So when I go here, I push out, I'm dragging it this way. When I go this way, I'm actually trying to turn the gun and sweep side to side. So I'm driving it this way into a stretch, and then I drive it back down this way into a stretch. And I try and create and follow this curve up through here. You throw it back side to side. So just getting everything you can stimulated. This gun is meant to bring all the muscles to the same playing field. It neutralizes compensation by getting them all working on the same frequency. Flip around, babe.
On my back?
No. I gotta do the other side.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Is that a little better?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, you don't need it. The spray guns, I want to blow it all up.
You want my back or stomach first?
Huh? No, on your back. Lay closer to it, babe. I just need like that much to get right in the middle. And then pull up and get ready. So bright.
Mhm.
Try to get it to bring the brightness down.
Maybe turn it off. Maybe we don't need it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, see.
All right. So I think you can see that a little bit better. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so see that? It's all sticking up right here. Big check you can do. That's about as far off the ground as we can pretty much get. Certain things when you do the front, it's easier It's easier if you bring their knees up. So bring your knees up. So that'll actually flatten this a bit. See, now I'm already hitting there. And then when we push this out, you can actually go through here a lot easier than if you have the legs flat. It's going to be a lot tighter through here, and therefore they're going to feel it. So, and if you've never done it to a person before, then most likely it's going to feel some sensitivity in here. It's not the most comfortable area. Put this one down. So, Rich, all you're doing for this is, you know, the oblique lines and everything through here, they run lengthwise. So when you get here, you're just lightly going over anything that you feel that's tight or hard. You're more or less going to try and focus. So if you feel like right here under my finger where it's the tightest, then you ignore the rest of your hand and only put pressure into that area. Just putting pressure and just kind of running your hands through will get you tired very quick. And if you do this right on somebody, I mean, you could have somebody with debilitating lower back pain, and this could release it because the abdomen muscles balance your lower back muscles. Just like your chest balances your upper back and lat, same thing goes on here. And you'll see that you just draw this line around, and you can do it with little to no pressure. I can do it with a lot more, and Sarah would start making faces. But you just drive it through, and I'm basically, so initially I'm pressing with my palm, and then I let my knuckles take over. So these knuckles are my driver. And basically I go from pressing like this, and then I take it around, and now my knuckles, I press and only feel my knuckles contacting. So that way I take basically like if there's layers that are sitting like this, I'm trying to push this layer back until it stretches and release. And don't let your hand go over it. It's already, see, the curve is already starting to come in. And then you can see here with this, start by, you can rest yourself against, and you can just lean your body weight. So if you're not strong enough to do this, you can just lean your body weight and use it to go across. Drag your hand down into that crevice there. You doing all right? Mm-hmm. And then I'll push it back. Was it a pop or just rolled? Like crunched over? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You just want to be gentle on the rib cage too, because you get the intercostal muscles, they can roll over each other as the ribs can kind of roll over. So going through here, up right under the chest line, you'll feel right under the chest line, you're going to feel a pretty hard spot, and we want to drive that out. So I'm hooking now, like right up under my fingers here, and I'm keeping pressure going into the body. So that way, as I move, remember the biggest key that I feel therapists every time I get worked on, they lift. So as they move, they lose pressure. And that's the hardest thing to do as a body worker, is to move your hand and keep the pressure the whole time. It burns, and just, you know, you got to get used to it. And even still now, like today, I mean, I'm used to it and pretty immune to it. But then at a certain point now, my body's just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I can't press any harder. So just still here, just dragging it over. And as you do it, you'll watch, I'll lean over here and kind of change my angle, so that way my pressure stays going down the side and not straight into her abs. Starting to come together here. This is starting to lengthen. This is not nearly as high as it was through there. It dropped. Yeah, just keep squeezing so they can see. And I'll go back here. So I'll take my whole palm like this. Just be very careful with this. This isn't like your first thing to do if you're trying to like do body work. Don't go straight for the abdomen and be like, oh, Josh did this. He said he could fix your lower back. You're better off trying some other stuff first. And I'll also take the leg and pull it over. It'll help rise that tissue up there so you don't feel like you're sticking your hand so far into their gut. And I'm using the outside part. You see where my pinky right here is really flexed, and I'm using that as my driver. And I'm keeping pressure right where the knuckle of my pinky is, up in my hand. Now I'm pulling it kind of up. Just very gentle, guys. Let it melt under your hand before you go trying to do it. Because if you pull against the body, especially if it's tender and tight, it's going to laugh at you and pull back. See, that's like a lot better there. Squeeze. That's tightening up. Hold that if you can. And now I'll just do some rocking on here. So if you get it and your hands burning or your, you know, the client's bigger than you are, then you can use this just to help get some stimulation. And it's kind of a little soothing to the client instead of just having solid pressure on them the whole time. Back up here to this spot. Now I'm going to push it up towards the breast tissue. So I'm going to get up under there, and the outside of my hand is going to push the boob out of the way, basically, and go up into it. So same thing, you can drop the leg. She speaks. A lot of it's just dragging without letting your hand slip off of what you're grabbing. You just push the layers. You'll feel the lines of the layers of that tissue. You'll feel it dragging under your hand, and just try and keep enough pressure down on it so it'll hold and stretch that out. And I'm going to show you on Sunday, we're going to show you how to do this with a foam roller. And from my angle, this has already dropped down a lot here. Look at that. You can see the serratus and everything starting to pop itself up. You can see the rib cage now showing itself. That was not there a second ago. You see the upper abs, they've depressed themselves. They've kind of deflated down in. That means she's now actually getting, so everything's a synergist. So the second you take the dominance out of this side, guess what else is going to happen? The lower back is now going to be able to take over. The transverse abdominis is starting to squeeze in, the QL and everything is starting to fire up under there and pull down like this. And the combination of the two smashes the abdomen together properly, just like I said, like a true corset. So waist trainers, weight belts, everything. Waist trainers should never be used because you cannot tell the fascia. Wherever it's touching, that body is going to go, oh, thanks, I don't have to do any work. So it's going to harden up around there and just create artificial support that way, which is going to destroy your organ placement, and just there's going to be massive harmonic frequency change. All the energy in here is going to be off, pressure in weird different areas. So weight belts, you should just use them. I mean, you should train yourself with no weight belt as much as you can, and then use that for, when it's more of a safety thing and like your big lifts and stuff, but always get as much out of the foundation as you can, and then grow from there. But what I'm saying is don't become codependent on certain things like that, because your body will cheat with it. It builds up hardness around there. And every time when I go into powerlifters and bodybuilders alike, I always go through the back ridge here and dig out a huge strap there, which is cool. If you maintain that in your foam rolling and stuff, and you use your weight belt situationally, then you can do great things with it. The strongest people in the world use them. So obviously they know what they're doing. So in here, you can see, you can even check like through the actual abdomen, and you can just see if there's anything like right here. It just feels like hard, bony rib cage sticking up. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure here, and I'm just going to bounce on it and see if it starts to move. If it starts to move, follow it. If it doesn't, it's either not ready or there's nothing there for you. Here still. So we're going to go more from this side. So pressing here, see that go in. And basically what you're seeing here is what I'm going to try and make happen. I'm trying to get the rib cage, the triangle looking peak of the rib cage, to go down and sit in here, not out here. And when you do that, you get a big V taper, you get a smaller waist, and all of the things that you don't want, like distended rib cage and waist gets bigger, and your lower back starts giving you grief and pain. I'm going to push it back up again. Little bounce. So now I'm grabbing with the palm, okay? Now I've got deep enough where my palm is actually going over and grabbing this deep part of the rib cage, and I'm pushing it over like kneading dough, but I'm grabbing the dough. Like, so I kind of got it like this, and that ridge of my palm is taking that tissue as best as I can and coming all the way over without letting it slip out from under my hand. So if we're here, I'm trying to push this here. I'm trying not to let this happen. So right now I'm up in the palm, and bam, now it switches up to the ridge of the, I was up in the knuckles. Now I'm into the ridge of the palm. Now I've got really, she's sitting right here under me. And I'm driving it into the body, and then I'm seeing. So now it's telling me to take it down. I'm feeling which way that I can grab, and then I'm seeing. You'll check and feel. You get better at doing it. I know which way it's going automatically, but you do get better at doing it. But in the beginning, when you're seeking it out, just push all directions and feel which way it goes with. It's really easy. And the big thing is, if you don't feel anything, stop pressing so hard, because that's typically what you're doing. Look at that. It's like really, she's not even flexing now, and you can see it. Squeeze now. Yeah, see, abs are starting to show themselves. So I mean, she's, it takes what weight we think we have to lose, it distributes it, and it shows you that you actually in turn have a lot less there than you think you do. Plus, the weight here can come off of the abdomen, okay? So it's like trying to cook an egg off a burner this high. It wouldn't make much sense. So you can't spot target fat, but you can bring it and seat it against the muscle, and that way it can burn at least as good as it possibly can. All right, so. Nope. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to do a sweep motion here. So I take my fingers, I get them right to the spine, and then I'm going to pull outward while I hook my fingers like this. So I'm more or less going to drag here. This one takes a lot of strength, but you want to hook your fingers, and then you want to have them bring their feet up, their knees up after that. So it'll seat it in your, inside the crest of your fingers. And when you do that, you'll basically be seated like this. You can use your knees here to lean back with your glutes and go into a squatting motion, so you can actually rock this up. And it'll just give you different leverage techniques, so you can actually do it on bigger people, or do it longer, or do it at all. So grab, go ahead, bring your knees up. Okay. And all I'm doing is just kind of hanging my weight back and just pulling through here. Wow, I haven't done this since I gained all this strength in my fingers, so I can really do this. Yeah, look at that. That's starting to look more like she's got like some nice curves now, and not so much squeeze. Yeah, look at that.
This is starting to lengthen down more off my chest.
It doesn't look like so much like what people would be like, I got cellulite right here, It's starting to smooth out, and that shows you, like, when you have tight muscles, the tissue can collect on top of them, and then it can start to form that pockets of cellulite. But if you open that muscle up and make it fill with blood and spread it out, then you can make cellulite disappear right in front of your face. All right, let's do that again. And I'm basically doing it when I'm dragging here, I'm just feeling cords. They all run vertically down the body along the spine. So I'm pulling those cords out, trying not to let my fingers go over them. And then basically, as I pull them into a stretch, I hold and wait, and then the body will release that one. And then in turn, I start feeling the new one, the next one, and so on until I get out. And then it's a matter of, am I going to give up, or is she going to give up first? It's fine. You can keep them up. A little rock side to side helps too, if you got the strength for it. Please. Look at that, yeah. It's getting that upper shelf to her glute is starting to pop a lot. Wow.
It's even changing the position of
Your
my
feet,
pelvis
yeah.
and my feet.
Yeah, look at her. She's starting to look more ripped. in there. It is. Your six pack's popping up through here. They can see it on the side right through there.
Just on one side.
Yeah. All right. So that pretty much would be a good first routine. Like, you don't want to do like a ton to the abdomen. Like, first time you see somebody, that's about as much as you want to do to that side. Then flip them around. I'll show you how we do the other side because I'm not going to leave her cattywampus anymore. And then I'll flip her over and show you quickly how to do it on the back side. You don't want to do too much after that, or you will have somebody, I mean, think about the first time, like anybody ever like trained abs or went and did plyos or something that really just destroys your abs, and how it's like 5 days. If somebody makes you laugh, you want to slap them, you know? So that's what you'll get here. If you do too much, you most likely that person will never come see you again, because the way they'll feel incapacitated over the next few days, they're going to think you did something wrong. So try and tread carefully with this, or try and make them wowed, or make sure the person's your family or friend and knows and understands the process. But try and do some other stuff on people so they don't go like, holy crap, you're never doing that to me again. And if you shake some pressure off of the surrounding areas of the body, the abdomen, of course, is going to be a lot less painful and sensitive when you do it. So flip around. Let's just quickly do the other side. Other way. Other way.
What do you mean?
Get closer to the camera.
Oh, I was getting.
So here you can see this side's like totally relaxed, like just chill. I mean, like the way the other side just kind of shifted it over. So you could see you release all this side's like all free and everything, and it just goes and pushes everything over here. It looks like the abdomen and the waist is basically doing this.
Even my foot, everything is.
Yeah, everything's like flopped out on that side, on her body. So, but it won't take much, and then we'll have. Same thing, just let me get this mic over here. So same thing, just gonna get this to just fold over here. The cool thing is when you do the one side, you pretty much do 25% of the other side too. So pick the side that's easier. Pick the side that's less sensitive. Pick the side that's easier. It feels better on the client, because you'll be able to do more. It's going to be faster on you in the beginning, so you're going to have your strength at the time, like right when you start. And then when you get to the other side, you won't have wasted a ton of energy doing it, and it's going to relieve a lot of the initial fight that the body gives you. So this side is much easier. It's just melting over, and now I can actually do this whole thing right here. It's releasing in more or less one pass, and you'll see a big difference after this goes, I hope, or it's going to make a liar out of me. Yeah, I think I have to do one more time because I flipped it. So 2 times going over this, if it fully releases most of what I think it's going to, then that's pretty awesome. And that's why you want to do certain sides like that and then get to the other side. So you'll get better and better at timing things. If you're working on a friend or family and you don't care, that's one thing. It's already changing from, just pushed out. Now we'll go here, twist that way. See right here, I got this hooked. So you can just take this. Now I'm pulling it like it's a flat wall, and then I'm using my wrist to pull down. So that way it folds over it without coming over it and rolling over top of it. Tickles, yeah. It's a good sensitive spot then. You'll notice people who are ticklish, it gets better as they release some of the tension in that area. Makes me not throw elbows as much when I get tickled on my sides. Look at that. See, it's all coming together now. Flex, babe. Yeah. And this is like one thing like that I have when I do with clients. A lot of times I'll work on them and girls will be like, my butt looks worse. And it's because it's just completely melted and relaxed. But then they'll go and they'll, send me a video or they'll send me a text saying, oh my gosh, this was like the craziest pump I've ever had in my life. The first time they go back and hit it in the workout, But sometimes you'll look at it and expect the tissue to look full and pumped up and everything, and it's not always the representation you're going to get. Sometimes you're going to get something looking really, really relaxed and just like hanging there, chilled. Should have better shape, but all right, go through here. Get that ridge that we did before. It's going to be Amazon again. Squeeze. Get a little turn this way.
I don't have my leg up on this.
Squeeze. There. All right, so I'm going to drag it across their back, and then we're going to do the back, and then we'll be finito. So now I'm, instead of rocking her side to side, I'm going to bounce up and down. There we go. Trying to get better squeeze. Yeah. So.
Now everything has become isolated.
Yeah, everything. You see how it was hanging out, now it's picking up. So, and it's also showing her how much loose skin is here that is not really fat. You know what I mean? Look how much it deflated, inflammation moved, water is just showing up on the surface here. So when you think that you look a certain way, realize inflammation is accompanied by water. Inflammation is chaos in the cell. So if you reduce tension, you're immediately going to calm the cell and immediately flush water away. There's no waiting game with it. But if you're stroking it into madness, like just beating the crap out of the tissue, expect it to be more bruised, more inflamed, possibly than when you started. So if you want to do it like this, you do pressure and wait for the nervous system to release stuff. You don't just take it and beat and beat and beat and then just grind. That's not how it works. The body will resist you. And you're going to get more water the next day on that. With this, watch. The next day, I can show you a picture, and she'll look way leaner through the whole section through here. Just like all my before and afters. There's one from Nashville. I did before, after, the next day. The dude looked insane. His whole body looked like an accordion and stretched out, and all the water fell off him. Bodybuilders always worry that I'm going to bruise them and make them hold water. And I've worked on Cedric McMillan and people like that the day before Olympia, and he looked peeled as could be the next day. All right, so that's just a basic gist of that. So go right on your stomach here. Here is better for this. Just a little bit of light. Okay. What?
That boobage.
Sorry.
Just the body.
It's just the body. I normally roll it like here, but just in case somebody cares. Not like we care. We don't care. We'd be the weirdos and everybody'd be like, dang. So you get these straps right down the middle here, and you want to take them when you can and get your hands out on the side. We're going to pick this up. I should use this up. Let's see. So you want to hook them and pull them down, but it's going to take us a second before we can get that to happen. First thing you want to do is just take your hand, smash it flat. You're going to be taking this knuckle and this knuckle and trying to wedge it between the rib cage and the lower back here. We're gonna try and get this to drop, okay? So I'm not gonna waste any time, and I'm gonna show you a faster way to do it. So, babe, just tuck your butt and neutralize your pelvis hard. Go posterior. Further. All right, here, let me do this. Let me show you the best way. So if you had somebody who was really bad, Sarah's not really bad, but I want to make this faster. Lift up. Just get a pillow or anything and get them up here. Now that already makes it a little bit more neutral. And then pull down, but just have your client or whoever it is pull down. And that way when you go through here, you're basically taking and feeling every single thing that's causing this to stay up, and we're going to make it stay down. And now I'm just pushing, and I got my palm hooking the QL and the tissue and the spinal extensors and just dragging them out until they pop free. Well, not pop, that's a bad use of words. Release. I'll do it with this hand. And I'll just do a little bounce. Basically, I got my hand up against that cord. It's a big leather strap right through here. And I'm hooking my palm against it, and I'm bouncing it forward, just giving it a little encouragement to go free. Go free, little QL, go free. Same thing here. Ooh, that was a good pop in the spine there. Not a chiropractor, but sometimes things pop. And then once you got some good stimulation to it, then you can feel it melt. So drive it out, back off, press hard, back off, press hard, back off. Already seeing that nice dip and curve coming in right through there. Then we'll work our way up. Grabbing here, you'll feel a big brick of the rib cage right through here. It's like a long line. Feels like the superficial back line I showed you guys, the blue one that goes down the middle, and then the rib cage, you know, pretty angry, pulling it up here because its friend, the lower back here, has been trying to hang on him for a long time. This is Sarah's nightmare area, especially from breastfeeding Joshua for 4 years. She was in fetus position for the first 3 of those. You mean you can exaggerate it, but I mean with the pillow and her doing it. So with the pillow doing it, you almost have it in the position that you want anyways. Her pulling her butt down is more or less just to get her to recruit. And you can see there, that's basically, it's going to recruit the muscles. You know, when you let your client get up off the ground, or your friend you're working on is stretching, or somebody did it to you, and you get up, and then you feel like a dry rubber band that has to kind of get warmed up. So when you do it like this, and she's firing it for a little bit while you're doing it, it's going to be waking it up at the same time. They're not going to get up like, I can't move.
Stiff.
Yeah. Which is typically half the battle, because you leave people all stiff when you send them home, that you got to assume they're going to screw themselves up. All right, I'm hooking this, going out. This is going to be an awesome one, watch. Takes real focus though, guys. I'm sitting here and like thinking about the exact spot. I tell therapists, you know, when they come work on me and stuff, I tell them, you know, you're talking too much. And they're like, oh, you want me to be quiet? I'm like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that you need to work and talk. And that's the hardest thing about being a therapist, is holding an effective conversation while holding, you know, your hand or whatever you're using in the right spot and keeping focus on that. But you want to talk, you want to read, you want to do something, you want to take your focus off it, have music in the background that you can do. So that way you're not literally thinking about your hand just burning into oblivion, because it does. Here it goes. Big dip. You can see just the shadow of it is different. It's all starting to get curve squeeze, babe. You can just show on the side. We'll see how much, just pay attention to how much the serratus and everything starts to pull in through there. And this here, actually, you can see, I mean, the breast tissue's right there. And I'm basically, this part, I actually dig up under the chest and get the boob line to stop hanging out and get it to go back into the center line where it should be. But I'm grabbing that rib cage and everything through here and just shoving it out. And the whole shoulder blade's going with it. Put your arm by your side, baby. Arm at your side will actually relax this part right through here and let you get a little bit more pressure on it. It also engages down the front side of the body, so you feel like you got more of a wall to press into without feeling like you're going to crush the rib cage. Now I'm taking it and I've got this dug in and I'm pushing it down the spine. So I'm actually working on this midline here, not so much outside. And I'm pushing it down and not out. And this is where Sarah needs it the most. But I had to get the rib cage off of these spinal extensors and all the stabilizers because they were being, as we saw, they were being covered up. And all the pictures you saw were simply showing you muscular systems. They weren't even showing you what the rib cage does when it gets all involved. Now I'm pushing out again. It's a combination back and forth. You'll release one, you'll feel the next. You'll release one, feel the next. Dang, look at that. It's just sitting there now. Squeeze it. Yeah, look how much higher it can come. And you'll think that she can like make it do it so you can guys can see it, but it's not. She can't, you know, laying in this position, that's not the easiest thing to do. Is just contract your rib cage and abdomen. All right, now I'm going to push lower here and I'm going to drive it down the side. So I'm basically going to take the rib cage and see if I can get it to touch the hip. It's not going to, but when it gets close, it'll release. Getting your shoulders and everything down like I am right now, it makes a big difference with getting the right angle and keeping the pressure and not putting so much stress on your arm. Dang, do you feel that? It just shifted him like an inch. Sarah would say half inch. Yeah, the skin looks smoother. It's awesome. Squeeze. Yeah, pulling up. So the ridge right here in the upper glute, the quote unquote love handle. But you get this ridge, you'll feel the bony strap of the crust right here, and you're pushing it down. Pushing it down, and then my fingers and hand are going to slide out. This is the hard stuff because I'm basically like trying to chisel bone with my hand.
What do you mean by out? Like away from the body?
Yeah, out would be here, down would be this way. Good question, Dave. This just feels like a big mountain of tension right here. And when I get this to go over, it's going to make everything look so much better. Look at that. So much less of a ball. You see how long it is now? It's down here. You see that, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like down. It's down in this region. It was all up here before. Now that looks like more of her rib cage and more of her waist, and this looks more like her glute. Let's do that one more time. I'm going to change my angle and get more towards her upper body so that way I can push it more down towards the side of the hip here. Casey's got the nice amber lights going on for keep the peaceful lights to balance everything. Sometimes if you feel the spot, you can jam it free like that. See how much smaller it got all through here. Now it's down by her belt line. Woo. Squeeze. Yeah, look. Yeah, look. See, it even makes that like it's just different. How much more control you get.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's go to the other side.
So same thing, pulling it out. Trying to pull it away from the spine here, up under the shoulder blade on both sides. Down through here. It's much, much easier than the other side. And in this side, I'm showing you a little bit different. So you can pull it up. I'm kind of going up towards the rib cage. So no matter which thing you're doing, which spot you're doing, or anything like that, just try different things, try different angles. This is really opening right through the QL. I got that hooked and I'm pushing it out with basically just like a saw with my hand, and I'm kind of going back and forth. A little bit of stimulation, but more or less I'm just pushing it straight out.
This side does feel worse, though.
Yeah, this side would have been more sensitive had I not done the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm basically just feeling that rib cage, and I'm trying to keep the ridge of my palm against it. Gentle pressure, pushing it out, backing off, push a little pressure, then back off, and just feel it as it starts to melt. The better you can get it to melt and move, the better you're getting your pressure.
How would you know which side is worse and which side to start on? Would you ask the client, or would you?
No, because most of the time the client's going to tell you, and it's always going to be the opposite, or it might be right, but it's normally like they're going off feeling. So you'd want to just press on it, feel. You could even go like in here and bounce on this and see if they jump, or you could just you can see how hard it is, and more or less you'll just start getting better and better at figuring out.
You can tell by how you look.
Yeah, I see it when people move and stuff, because I'll see if they favor something when they squeeze it as they take a step or something. Or definitely when they work out. That's the easiest way to tell, because that's somebody challenging the body with some weight. So now I'm like right on the spine. I'm straight on the spine. Make sure you get comfortable with working on somebody before you do this. I mean, it's not like they say it is, but you can still hurt people with this, so just be careful. I'm grabbing it with the very back of my palm, and I'm just gently putting pressure on it and stretching it, okay? So it's just releasing all the multifidi, spinal extensors, things that are holding this spine in place. Ooh, that was great. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, dip. Now, like, squeeze. Yeah, it's just, overall, it's just pull your butt down now. Okay, cool. And again, just hooking this all through the crest down here, right at the top where the glute meets the lower back. This is where the upper booty shelf is. This is where your lower back pain is. Oh boy, this is releasing nicely. Wow, from this angle, she's got some serious curve going here. Squeeze. Yeah, it's already just your movement and everything's better. It's pretty good. I mean, if I was working on her, I would continue a little bit more, but I would be going into the legs and everything. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to gun her, finish up. We'll take a little peek at it, see if you guys can even see. I'm sure you can from what we did, but all right, let's get this out of here. Okay, relax. So I like to take this here. So I'm on my palms here, this spot right here, right here. Take the rib cage and push it together. I'm going to pull it in. I'm pulling it towards the spine, so basically what way my thumbs are pointing, and then I'm pulling it down. You can see how I'm pushing it into the low back and how it's folding over there. So I'm just dragging it down, and I'm not letting my hands go over it. And now I'm pushing it in, bringing my hands together, and I'm pushing it up towards her shoulder blades. One more time. Go a little bit further out. Do a little rocking. Let it get going. There it says, oh man. All right, drop this down one more time. I'm just pulling both my thumbs together and driving this palm down. I'm basically grabbing the skin as hard as I can and pulling it into a big stretch and anything that goes with it. Now I'm pushing it out away from each other to collapse the rib cage in the front. Sounds bad, but collapsing means bringing it together. Now I'm pulling it apart again. And I'll do it standing. And I'm pushing it up and out now towards the shoulder blade and towards the side. Squeeze. Wow, that contracts really nice now. So much better. Now she's off the pillow, obviously, too, but you can just see the length that it created here. Let me gun it. All done. All right. Let's see. Stand up.
Yeah, good front.
Yeah, let's just check you out from all sides. Come closer. Wow, it's really bright. Okay, we don't need it, I guess. Maybe a little bit. All right. I mean, overall.
Really doesn't sit different. It's not low.
Yeah, we'll do before and afters. I'll post these up so you guys can see. I'll have her send it in the email. Oh, wow, look at the oblique lines when she squeezes. You can definitely see that is big time difference. Turn sideways, baby. Yeah, that's look at the difference in that. See, well, that's what I was going for. That is the dread killer, whether or not you're trying to produce or reduce lower back pain, or if you're trying to increase your glute size. Now this is where the shelf is missing on so many women. You know, obviously now she can grow that if she wanted to. Turn a little bit more this way. You see, but now her lower back is in her lower back and the glute is in the glute. And that's length like crazy here for her to go into. So their organs have much less pressure on them. The waist is flatter. You got everything through the hips. And then she can breathe through the diaphragm. Let's go straight on the back. I mean, this nice, really hourglassy shape, even her color of her skin and everything just has a different kind of like consistency to it. So it's got like a peachy life to it. I mean, I'm looking at it different than you guys are, camera, obviously, but turn again to, no, we were this way, yeah. Yeah, so now squeeze on it. So this is a good ab angle. Turn more. Yeah, squeeze a little bit. Yeah, see, do some twisting and stuff. See the freedom, see how it just dips in nicely. It doesn't jam in. Go pinch here, like lean over. You see, that's really not that bad. I bet you if I do that right now, look, I'll pull over. Look at how much jumble I got. And look at hers when she pinches over. It's just like the one up here. So that shows you just how much more spacing you're giving if you can do that. I mean, and then the big thing is if you can do that, you can squeeze the muscle a lot longer before it gets full contraction. So, you know, the longer your muscle is, the more you can squeeze it when you use it. So same thing with going like negatives, you know, doing long negatives. The longer you can endure a negative, the stronger you make your negatives, the longer you can, basically a negative is like a battery bank. The longer you can do and stronger you can do a negative, the harder it takes, or the more it takes energetically before you fill up your tank. So the more you can squeeze a muscle or pump a muscle and pump it is all dictated by how long and strong your negative is. All strength, all stability, all definition, and all symmetry comes from how good your negative is. So adding 10 to 15 second negatives every like third workout, and like every third time you do legs, you know, making every exercise like, you know, doing a squat, you just tuck and 1, 2, 3, 4, literally 10 to 15 seconds. We can just sit now, I guess, since we're chatting it up.
Everybody always looks beat up after he works on them.
I think the face looks alive. I think it takes miles off of you. But the big thing is like on any exercise you do it, like you could go right now and take every workout in every exercise you do and focus on the negatives, 10 to 15 seconds. And then after about a month, you switch it to doing every like third workout, do all negatives. And then every workout, make like the last 1 or 2 reps a really long negative. So you kind of, because the negative is stretching the muscle back out. So if you go into like those long ones, you're going to feel like the quad and everything peel off the knee. You're going to feel it get longer. You're going to feel all that extra fascia and everything, scar tissue start breaking up. And I have people who are total meatheads and will not foam roll, but they'll do pure negative workouts and they fix everything. I see them and they look flawless. You can tell they have symmetry and proportions.
That was my question. Doing a negative is kind of like applying the pressure without applying what you do, right? It's applying your own pressure.
Yeah, negative is unwinding. You contract it, you're squeezing, you're building. A negative, eccentrically loading, basically doing the negative is what produces the most contraction. You know, the more you pull it open, the bigger you can squeeze it. It's just common sense. We can do some questions now because we're going to wrap it up. Thank you. Thanks, Casey. Go ahead. Just unmute them so we can do some, we'll do it one at a time. Does anybody have a question? Yeah, Casey. Do Casey, baby. Bottom right. Why can't you unclick him and unmute? Click it. Go ahead, Casey. You just have to unmute yourself, brother.
Hey, thanks for the class. I do appreciate you, man. My question is, I want to know where you get all of your things from. Like, do you have a specific place where you get, like, I heard you talking about the peanut, and I see the mats that you use. Is there like, keep all the information for us?
We don't have the mats added. Like if you go to my link tree on my Instagram, the bottom has the Amazon link and it has my, all the stuff we buy off Amazon. Oh yeah. Can you shut that off? And, so that's in there. I need to add the mats. These are matte Aladdin, like Aladdin, but matte Aladdin. And they were, I think, $90 for both of them. And I got separate ones so they pack in your car easier. Because when you get the one that's 4 feet wide, you can only fold it one way, and you can't stack it in the back of a trunk as easy. So the peanut, I get mine from Roll. It's at Roll Into Fitness. Babe, type that into the chat. That's who I use because he has 2 different ones. I fell out of touch with Peanut, you know, so it's just no harm, no foul. But my buddy at Roll Into Fitness, I always forget his name, but he has a gray one and a black one. The gray is soft and the softer. It's definitely not soft, and the black is firmer. So I like them. They have a little bit more give than the Peanut, so you can really crush the tissue and not, bruise it up. But I will actually go through my Amazon. Now, I'm glad you said that, and I'll make sure that everything that I do buy from Amazon is in there, because they even have the Theragun and everything off there now, so I could just put that all on there so everybody can see it. Even if you don't buy it from there, you can just see the products that I use. Is that it? Is there anything else specific that you want for like an item that I can think about putting on there that I haven't?
I'm not sure just yet. I ordered a Theragun, so I'm just waiting for that to come. And I'm getting mats, and I'm gonna get the Roll Into Fitness, so I'm just gonna keep an eye out. I appreciate you both, Josh and Sarah, very much.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you, brother. Kathy, Mom, you guys good? Okay.
No, that was a great training. I appreciate it. I just kind of was wondering, I don't know if the question came through or not, but were you helping at all by having a counter? You didn't do it all the time, so I assumed that no, it didn't matter, but you at some points had your hand on Sarah's like hamstrings while you were working on the last of the glute pushing.
Yeah, you can. I mean, if you
You get used to
In
it.
reality, you can, I don't know. You're always going to want to use your other extremity for balance and stability. The goal is to apply as much pressure as you can to move the tissue without the tissue spasming against you. So you want to do as much as you can to brace yourself, so that way you can literally remove all pressure off of anything but the focal point. So if you're using your knee or any of those things, you have to be able to press into it. And the hardest part about what I do, and I think why it's different than a lot of therapies out there, is the focus. And it's not just the focus, but it's like moving this way, going this way, relaxing the rest of your body, not thinking about this spot of your hand, only this spot of your hand. And I don't get that. I can totally pick up on that if somebody was doing it, because I have 2 people that I've trained that actually got it, actually cared to do it. And I can feel when they do it, it's like a switch goes off, and the connection goes from them to me. And when I get therapy from people who would come to my house, either they realize who I am and they want to chit chat, and then I can't shut it off. So I want to help them, but they talk too much to where they can't focus anymore. But no, I really don't ever use my other hands to help me with certain things. I do. If you see me push with both, I'll do that like on the lower back or the rib cage and stuff. Sometimes it's just easier to push both of them in the beginning to get the initial layers starting to melt. And then you can do more single hand pressure. But you want them to do anything that's going to be exaggerating or enter that, babe, just admit her. You want to have the client exaggerate the things, not so much you. So you can do positional things. So like I did with the pillow, you can position them to where you get the right angle, or you're recruiting things. But you want them to move in a way, but typically just let them lay there and figure out the best way.
Okay. Sounds
You
good.
work on a table or a mat?
I think this is going to be mat work. I have a shiatsu mat for right now that I'll probably be working with.
Yeah, good. Because I don't think people should ever use tables again. I really
No, the leverage you get from what you're doing is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I appreciate that. It's really I mean, I stumbled upon a lot of this stuff just because of the background that I came from in personal training. I wanted to work with trainers. I didn't like to do the closed environments. People in Lifetime that are rich are just weird, and you don't want to get in close. You don't want clothes coming off in Vegas. So I kind of made sure that none of those things happened for me, just because, I didn't feel comfortable with that. And I didn't feel like I would ever want my wife to just wonder, if a certain client came along. But if you're stretching somebody, the tables are phenomenal, because you can parallel the body to you. And in doing that, you can hit some angles that stretching really benefits from. On the ground, you're pushing the tissue whatever way you want. When you're stretching them, you want them in line with you as much as you can. So using a table is actually hugely beneficial. Do I need it? No, I like to do it on the mat, because I can never put stretches on somebody without putting pressure. I have to hit the inhibition. I can't stand it. I'm like, nope, this is not it up. Got to reduce it. It's just not, my brain's like short circuits and is like, this is not efficient enough. So that's why I leave stretching to Sarah. She stretches me in a way that's just unreal. I've never felt anybody stretch it like that. And I'm not just saying that because it's my wife. I mean, she stretched me for like 15 minutes last night in my arms, and literally took the entire massive throb in my arm away to where I could release the elbow and my wrist, and then I was fine again. But that's pretty crazy, because I'm not a believer in stretching, because static stretching and even active stretching doesn't articulate the joint properly. It doesn't even focus on deeper fascial layers. It doesn't understand hydration and things like that. It's typically just put into a mode of like, this is supposed to make me feel better because I feel something, and you got to move. So, and if you're not moving, then you have to apply pressure. Otherwise, the dormant deeper layers are not going to wake up. There's got to be 2 different types of things. Either you articulate the stretch in a way that the joint is put into the right place so where it can engage, or you apply pressure. And I do pressure because it's just faster. You can't stretch and do things to somebody nearly as fast as you can with pressure. But let's just be honest. I could stretch 8 million people and it would never affect my body the way that this does. I could be a stretch king for my entire life, 50 hours, 60 hours a week. It never even fazed me. Nothing like this. So this, with the pressure and everything like that, yeah, there's definitely a part where you have to stop, or you're gonna
you're going to break, or like I did where I went to a nervous breakdown because I ignored the energy coming from the client that was being just vomited onto me. So any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, my thing is just being as gentle as possible because I work on postpartum bodies that have cesarean. So most times I'm working on beds, you know, as they're resting. And now I have massages, pre-massages that would help that I can get prior to their delivery, you know. So that alone is, you know, good for me because it allows me to feel their body and at the same time help to coach them towards more towards a natural birth, you know. So as much as I want to, and I can, I just have to be careful, you know, without stimulating the trigger points that would go into early labor per se, you know. So it's just a lot more softer.
Yeah,
touch.
for sure. You'll have to be with yours. Even putting a pregnant woman sitting on the table is actually cool because I like to press up across the belly and over the top of it. So being below them and doing it like you're massaging a stability ball, it takes away from your ability to go into the body too much. So if you put them above you, it's actually far safer for the therapist to talk and not think about it and not risk like driving into it, like you said, and stimulating an early birth.
Yeah. I'm more like in and out.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what you're going to say?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say having that leverage up on you, well, especially the areas that women go through pre and postnatal is actually beneficial for you on being higher and also because you are shorter too. You have that perfect leverage point of being able to push and pull on those areas that are most needed with women in
mostly the hips and the areas.
You can pull, you know, you can push and you can do it in such a gentle way, but still being able to apply that pressure to really, you know, those areas and not have to be down on somebody.
You can do it too, because when you have somebody on a table and they're on their side, you can do what I just did to the back, but on a pregnant woman, you want to, like how I was taking the fingers and pulling like this when Sarah was on the back. You want to do the same thing. You want to put your palm at the spine and then just raise your hand up and pull those cords away. But you can even have them like as you're pushing them, the mom is naturally going to turn back against you. So it creates this harmony between you and her where she's pushing those layers down against you gently and firing them at the same time, and then lights those up so you can grab them. And that's the cool thing too with a mother. It's you just get in tune with them and tell them, hey, just give me a little pressure here and stuff like that. And always feel, because if you have them activate something, I've never found this to not be true. When a pregnant woman activates something, if baby doesn't like it, and you put pressure on something, there's something about that placenta and like everything there that immediately is almost like somebody who had a bone-on-bone surgery and the two catch. It is just like a shock wave of energy that goes through the body and tells you right away that was not good, and the baby is ticked off. So it's really pregnant women were like my least worrisome when working on, because there's no question. They're constantly thinking about stuff. They're constantly wanting to tell you if they feel something, you know, and that's the best thing about a client, you know, the ones who don't tell you and then they're like, you know, all of a sudden, you know, they tell you like, yeah, that was so bad and I was holding my breath the whole time, and you're like, why didn't you speak up, you know? And you get better at sensing that. But pregnant women, they're not shy and they have no filter, and that's the best part. Go ahead, Kathy.
So I was going to ask Sarah how she felt getting the work done herself today.
Oh my gosh.
I noticed the breathing.
I feel so open. So my problem, I had 16, 17 years of trained dancing, and dancers don't train abs. We do not train abs at all. If you go and you look at ballerinas, they have no ab muscles because everything is open, everything is stretched, everything is beautiful and lengthened, you know? So this engagement here was non-existent for so long. And then when I got into personal training and Pilates, everything was, hey, everything comes here, everything's engaged here. And my body's like, what the heck are you doing? I'm used to being open. My rib cages are, so open and stretched and elongated. So I struggled a lot with this area. And then after being pregnant, I feel like I haven't done enough time with, what's the word, recovery, that I have, training. So I spent 16, 17 years training. I've only been at this for 10, 11 years now. So I still got a little ways to go, but doing things like that at least every couple weeks would really help someone like me, because I think we all have a different journey. We all have a different way that we've come up, so I think being aware of where the client has been, will also help you as somebody who's working on their body to feel like, oh yeah, I feel your rib cage wants to stay open, and that makes a lot of sense. You're dancing.
It's the nervous system is a recording device. It's like something everybody should never forget. You have to look at the client and see what they've repeated the most in their life. If they sit at a desk for 8 hours, you have to supersede the stimulation that they put in there, because the body is doing nothing but repeating what you've recorded into it constantly. So when you think of it that way, then you never get into this thought of physicalities. You stop thinking about, oh, this muscle's hard, and you start going like, oh wow, what do you do? Like, okay, you start dissecting it. It's funny how times you'll go through somebody, and 6 to 8 months in, all of a sudden they'll start telling you the truth about what happened. And you think like, oh, knucklehead, you could have told me that 8 months ago, and I probably would have been able to do more focus on the hip, and you would have been better. But you have to realize that as the body stores, it layers. So as it layers, you have to unwind those layering, and it's like you're reading page by page through the novel of their life. And when you get to that certain point, all of a sudden, boop, like the guy who threw me off of him when I released his piriformis that he got shot in war, and he chucked me off of him. And he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Is it weird that, I was like, what the heck, bro? I'm like this on the ground, just like, and he was a huge Marine bodybuilder who, mind you, the guy is now a master body worker because I worked on him twice, and he just fell in love with it. So this is a really cool story with him, but he also showed me my first experience of, well, he goes, wow, does it weird that it immediately took me back to being shot there when you released that? And I'm like, no, that's perfect, exact. You'd had a VHS or DVD like plugged into your butt, no joke, like in there, and the second you unravel that, the movie plays. And I had another lady who was, her son, Magdalena, her son basically got caught up in drugs and heroin. And then he got HIV from relationship stuff and everything like that, and ended up dying. But in the time that he was in the hospital dying, his mom fell 3 times on the same hip. And so when I released her hip, mind you, we're in the middle of the entire gym in front of everybody. See ya. In front of everybody, and I release her hip, and she starts howling and crying at the top of her lungs, and everybody's like, oh my God, what did you do to that woman? But she just told me, I'm so sorry, like it just reminds me of those moments of when I fell each time on my hip, every time I did it. So just think of things that way. I guess we'll
end. Otherwise, we'll sit here and talk.
Yeah, we'll talk. So we've covered everything. We don't want to keep rattle on because, I want to also keep thoughts for the next time. So we'll see you guys on Sunday, 9 o'clock. Remember, we're going to be doing the same thing that we did today. Thank you, Mama. Same thing that we did today. So basically, we're going to show you how to do this to yourself. I don't want anybody to feel neglected in this. I don't want you to feel like there's not anything for self-therapy as much as there is for partner therapy. I also want to make sure that you guys are actively doing your in-between work, whether or not you're doing this to somebody or you're getting work done and you need to keep your maintenance in time between when you're getting your maintenance done by somebody else. You do it yourself. So we're going to do the foam rolling, stretching, Theragun, some different things. Sarah's going to show you some cool ways to really open the rib cage, because there's a lot of issues that stem from this. Anxiety, depression, and stuff can all come from how constricted our breathing is. So Sarah will show you how to open it. I'll show you how to beat it up with the foam roller. And then that's it. And so love you guys. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
And we are
Much
out.
love.
See you, brother.